Hey everyone, we've got a great pod episode ready for you. Just give us 1 second. Sorry about the delay. Yep. We've got a great pod episode ready for you. Alrighty. Okay. Cool. Let's try this. Okay. Cool. All right. So finally got this going. Sorry for the delay. Some technical issues. This is didn't have the technical wizard Decreasy here to walk me through this, so a couple minor hiccups, but not a big deal. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'm here with my teammates, John Tatta, Ophir Marom, and Michael Conroe. Thanks for joining us, guys. Really appreciate it. I wanted to do a couple shout outs that Decreasy likes to do at the start of the episode. So, John Tatta won a PQ and he topped another one. Last back to back weeks, was it, John?
Yeah, back-to-back weeks.
Awesome. And thanks for Decreasy for letting me host this week. You guys are gonna have to miss out on all the Admiral Trench theory crafting that you usually do, so catch that next week. Ophir, I know you've played in a PQ, and John played in a couple, like I mentioned. Does everyone have any other PQs planned for the set? And what do you think of the current meta? Ophir, do you want to go first?
Sure, yeah, I think I'll probably be playing in like one or two more around me. Did just play one last weekend. The meta, it's okay. Like, I don't love it right now. I think I still think I know for like for the force throw, it's like a meme at this point, but it still is like kind of defining what is allowed to be played in many ways. There's a lot of decks now that are popping up that are just kind of trying to ignore the battlefield on the ground. All these like space decks, or control decks, and then you've got like who fights on the ground the best between like hero grindy force and Quinlan, or like villain force decks. The games feel very swingy to me a lot of time, kind of no matter what you're playing, and I guess that's the part like that maybe is what I don't like the most, because it is like a wide open meta. Like it is, you can kind of play almost anything you want and probably do okay. Like the gameplay itself feels very swingy sometimes.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I
Oh,
I
go ahead,
agree
John.
with that. It's like the decks that are like the glue of the meta that's kind of holding it all together is Han, Mother Talzin, Red, and Quinlan. Like those are just three really great ground-based decks, and like they're all force throw decks. They define the entire game right now. So that's why you're seeing this really weird quote unquote like diverse meta with these pilot decks like Boba Data Vault, Luke Data Vault, Kaz Tarkin Town, like Poe ECL. Like these decks only exist because like you can dodge half the meta, of those three ground decks and just try to race and win that way. I I know people say that they like this meta. I personally don't because like it's so polarizing, like by one or two cards to find the whole game right now, which is like it's fun, but at the same time, like it's kind of takes a lot out of it. I have played in two PQs. I mean, I played Kylo Data Vault in one. Uh, Won the event. It was a little softer PQ. People were playing some pretty casual decks, just how it was there. Um, the second PQ I played in a couple days ago was a bit harder. There were a lot more real decks.
Because like it's
So I
so
lost in top eight
polarizing,
to a
like
Boba
by
Data Vault there.
one or two
And then I
cards to
do
find the
have
whole
one
game right
more
now,
coming up
which
at
is
the
like
beginning of September in Pittsburgh, and then one at the end of September at Games and Stuff, which is limited. So that'll be fun. I'm sure we'll talk about that here soon.
mhm.
But yeah, the meta's the meta. I mean, it's balanced to a point, but I, it's not my favorite.
Makes sense. Michael, how about you?
Yeah. So I think I'm only going to get to play in two PQs this season. One this Saturday, and then one a couple weeks from now. I think I'm going to be out of town for that games and stuff PQ, unfortunately. But I think after hearing everyone else's answer, I realized that this might be the worst meta ever. It's just like, I don't know, what deck do you sit down against and actually have a fun game right now? It's like you play against a deck that could force throw you 3 times. Those games are miserable. Or you play against a deck that's just like hoping to Voltron a space unit and completely ignore everything you're doing. Or you play against Alex Blandon on Ide and Data Vault and watch him play one removal spell every turn for 50 minutes. That's like, I don't know. I think John's right. It is balanced-ish. Like we see a lot of leaders winning, but it's kind of making me go back to play Quinlan, which is the worst case scenario for me. I'm trying to distance myself from the Quinlan cult, and it's impossible, I guess. I don't know.
I watched Mike's video today, and he said that Ophir and you and Ryan workshopped Quinlan together for a long time. So
Well, I think that was behind my back. That might have been just Ophir and Ryan. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pretty much echo
Yeah.
what everyone else said. It's interesting because like I think I was talking to Alex and a couple other people. They were talking about the set three meta when it's like Han was just kind of dominating everything, and that created some like weird stuff. But it was almost like a better meta in some ways. Like, I guess there were less decks, but like it felt like I don't know. Felt like it was like a little more clear. Whereas now, John used the word polarizing, which I think is feels accurate. Like there's more decks to play, but it's just like a weird like you're trying to dodge, you know, certain matchups, or like it feels like it's just kind of like a coin flip, or like very swingy, whether it's like force throw or it's like, well, they're all in space or you're all in ground or whatever. So there's just like a lot of weird small details, I think.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point here. Like there were less decks in that meta, but you cited the set 3 meta. But I think it's important not to like equate diversity with health, because there could a lot of very good metas are like 3 to 5 decks or like 6 decks. Like that's can be very healthy. Right now we're like double digits certainly in what's like playable, quote unquote, but the games themselves feel like they hinge so much on a few things that happen early, right? You very opening hand dependent maybe is like a thing, right? You play against Han in your space deck, they play Grogu, you lose, they don't play Grogu, you win. Like, is that good? Is that like the game is balanced, you win half and you lose half, but the way you win half or lose half, and obviously that I'm kind of exaggerating the point a little, but that's where a lot of games feel like that's what's happening. And like the first couple turns are just like, did they have the card that was good? Like, did they have the blue leader and you were the space deck?
Right.
Did they have the Sabine and you're only starting unit with Secretive Sage? Did they like different like very huge like swingy things that happen very
Well,
early in games?
it makes it hard to prepare for these events too, right? Because
Right.
like Ophir said, there's like double digit decks that are playable. Um, so it's like, what do you do? Like, do you try to prep for the space decks and play all this hate? Do you try to prep for the ground decks like Han and the thousands and play something to beat that? Do you try to stop the Kylo, one shot combo with Tarkin Town? Like, there's just so many different things you have to prep for now, and it's like basically impossible. So I think that's why you're seeing like and CJ is a big, you know, like he says this all the time. He says people just play what they want in PQs, like their comfort deck. And I think that's becoming more and more clear now because these people's comfort decks are suddenly like playable. And it's kind of a weird meta. And like Ophir said, like I prefer metas. Like I think the end of set 4 post banning was like the best meta that we've had. There was like 5 or 6 decks that were good, like that kind of defined everything, and everything else was like fringe playable. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it might spike an event here and there, but like those 5 and 6 decks were the meta, and it was great. Now we're just in this weird state. Like I don't know what's gonna happen, but we'll see.
The downside of set 4 was Data Vault convinced all these people that their like random leader was playable, and
Yeah.
that's kind of carried through, and they're still
Yeah,
playing it with Data Vault. So
yeah,
Yeah, no, I do agree exactly what John said. Richmond to me was like super fun. I don't know why. Maybe it
yeah,
was just people were excited post suspension slash wanting to try stuff, but like that was like really diverse, but like people had a really good time, and there were a lot of like really tight matchups. Like I played a bunch of matchups with leaders against leaders I'd never even run into at events before. So yeah, it's interesting like combining that kind of with what Ophir said, where it's like because FFG has said like oh we want like a very diverse meta or whatever, and that's kind of you sort of walked into it being like, oh, we'll have lots of decks. That's a good thing, but it turns out not necessarily, and it can be kind of awkward for various
Yeah,
reasons.
it's hard to explain to
It
like
is.
someone who's just a casual player. Like casual players might see this meta and be like, "Oh, this is awesome. I can play Trench and or not Trench." Oh, you know, now
Don't
that
play
it's on my
trench.
mind.
Don't
But
say
Save
that.
that for next week when
like
Decreasy's back.
like Akbar, they see Akbar win a PQ and
Right.
they're like, "Oh man, this is awesome." But like players like us were like, "This is terrible. Like, what is going on right now?"
Now I
So,
might bump into Akbar. Yeah,
right,
diversity is it can like diversity in a metagame can be good too. I think like it's going hand in hand with why is it diverse right
Right.
now, and it's more because like matchups themselves are so polar. But like there could be a meta with like 15 decks and it can be good. Like so, I'm not gonna say that it's
right.
the amount of decks that's making it not feel good. It's more the individual gameplay for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, play patterns. Yeah, like all these decks have very similar play patterns. So.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Michael, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I don't know. I was just gonna say like it is kind of to me fake diversity a little bit because like every pilot deck is the same to me. It's just
Right.
like I'm gonna play all space units and buff them and hope that you can't interact. And it's like yeah, your cards and leader change, but nothing else really
Yeah,
does. Yeah.
yeah, they're all like hero space decks, and they're all exactly the same, minus 5 cards.
Yeah, that is a good way of putting it. So this kind of dovetails into the next question for you all, which is, we talked about this already, but results have varied quite a bit so far since the Galactic, and meaning like, no new cards have been released, but like, the meta popular decks have shifted like quite a bit. And we talked about some of the pilot and data vault decks. And my question for you all is, some of this is people are, just wanting to have fun, branch out, whatever. But I think the more interesting question is, do we think anything will actually shift from what we saw at the Galactic to, let's say, first sector, first regional, or do we feel like this kind of set has already been solved because we already had Vegas to sort of like meet that out? So, Michael, what do you think?
I don't think it's necessarily solved because, like, I think if we had Vegas and then next week we knew we were playing for the exact same stakes, like, I think the metagame would look different, right? Like, the Kylo Tarkin down was a big innovation at the time. Like, I don't know that Thousand can win that turn 2 times in a row, right? And Thousand's kind of fallen off a little bit since then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I do think, or my guess would be, as we get back to these bigger tournaments with more rounds and all the competitive players start traveling again, I think it'll get back to a more force throw heavy meta than we've seen in the PQs. I think over the course of 13 rounds with people on Han or Kylo or Quinlan, like I think those are defining the meta and they'll beat out those pilot decks more often than not.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
I I agree. I mean, it's like we've already seen the shift, right? Like, if you look at the world's meta, like the current meta after week 3 of PQs is vastly different. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
not even comparable.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think that that's necessarily the result of players adapting. I think it's more just like people are kind of playing what they want right now. Maybe not necessarily exploring or experimenting. It's just like they're just kind of playing whatever. Um, like the pilot decks, I think are real. I don't know about Poe. Like Poe's probably not that real, but like Luke is very good. Boba Data Vault's very good. Kaz,
Kazuda.
yeah,
Kazuda.
Kaz is
Yeah.
decent. Yeah. Poe seems like a worse Luke. I mean, I was testing Poe earlier, or I guess late last week, and like Ophir hopped in and watched me play a few games, and we were just like, this is just like a worse Luke deck,
Mm-hmm.
and that's basically what it is. But yeah, the pilot decks are real. It's so I think that the meta is just going to keep adapting, and we'll see. We should get sectors and regional announcement like tomorrow or Wednesday. We'll just kind of have to see when and at what point in the cycle we are.
Makes sense. Ophir?
Yeah, I think when you see bigger events, it's not even just like will people play different things. It's just you'll see the winners metagame shape up
Mm.
much more as expected. I think at a PQ, right? You talk most of them are like 6 rounds, right? Some are 7, but you go like 4-0, you can draw in, or you go 5 wins and you can draw in. Um, there's not enough time for a lot of decks to get filtered out, which is why you do end up seeing a lot of like weird things in top eights. When you start going like 8, 9 rounds day one, another 3 or 4 day two, a lot of that stuff is going to fall out eventually, right? You're going to be playing people who have 8, 9, 10 wins in this tournament, and you have to get through that stuff to make top cut. I think you will see something much closer to what we saw in Vegas, where like the best hero force decks were in there. The best villain force deck was in there. We had the one surprise with the Kylo. I think that deck is real enough to survive past having hate, but it's not going to have as clean a conversion rate as it did in Vegas, where like people now play Aggrieved Parliamentarian. They're playing more Bamboozles. They're playing more Rivals Falls in their deck. Like there are answers to this stuff. It's probably like the one thing that I would say is like gonna probably last. That was a big surprise factor. And yeah, and then the pilots, whichever one is like the best or two, might make a dent. But they're mainly being played to just kind of ignore everything else, right? That's like the main thing there, and it's good enough to do that. So I do think if you are interested in like succeeding in one of these sectors and regionals, it's you probably should be picking up one of the top decks and like getting reps there, because it's not going to be like a PQ. I do not think you will see an Akbar top 8 a sector regional. Maybe I'm crazy, but like if I go through the competitive hub and like see all the things that are winning right now, I'm like, that's a one off, that's a one off, that's a one off, like that's a 2 off. Like I don't think these are like meta defining decks. They certainly are not tier 1 decks just because they win a PQ, right? It's a very different world when you're talking about like a 5-round Swiss or a 6-round Swiss versus like a 12-round Swiss. It's different game sort of.
Oh, that makes
Sounds like you're
sense.
talking trash on Babu Frick. That's all I'm hearing.
I think the one thing that sticks out to me was Ryan Warner made a video where he seemed kind of down on Sabine. Some of the Sabine players I talked to in Vegas seemed like kind of middling to frustrated, I think, with how she lines up against some of the new cards like Chirrut and stuff like that. Or even like Sabine Yellow trying to go space. I wonder if on the aggro side, like kind of like what Ophir said, if people are just going to be totally off Sabine yellow and maybe even green, like in favor of like Kazuda or Boba or something, just to like totally dot like lane dodge and go all space, and just with Kazuda have like the burst damage, or Boba have like a little bit more like sustained mid range damage to kind of mix it up. See how
It's
that lines up against the force
it's
decks.
it's kind of crazy with Sabine right now. Like this PQ that I was just at Saturday, if someone like good was playing Sabine ECL, they'd have like rolled that tournament because it was just like a bunch of random like space decks, and there was like a couple Han, like maybe 1,000. Like it's just so I guess all the people who played the Worlds were like just a week or two too early, and now it's suddenly good again, I think.
Yeah, that is funny.
That's what I'm not sure I agree with. I still think it's kind of a hostile world for Sabine.
Yeah, I mean, could certainly be. I mean, Han is still making the most top eights, but it's just like
Mhm.
it's just weird. My last two PQs, I think I can count the total number of Hans on one hand.
Right.
It's just weird.
But like, how does she actually line up against Kazuda, Boba, Luke? Is she racing a Data Vault burn deck? Is she racing a Luke Data Vault deck? Like,
Yeah.
Well, she's certainly good against Boba. Like I mean, Boba can't interact at all with you, right? But
but it has 8 more health than you, right? Just like
yeah, it's
gonna
True.
true.
attack your base, right? We're just both gonna ignore each other completely and see who gets there
Yeah,
first. That's
pretty
uh,
much.
uh,
I mean, she could change a little, right? I mean, there are cards you could play red 5. I don't know if he is right now. You could play blue leader. Like, I assume they're
Mhm.
still on masterpiece. It's not like they're. I think
Yeah.
the Sabine can interact with the pilots a lot more than they can interact with her, at least.
Yeah, I think it was Justin who the other day was talking about playing Sabine again with Data Vault, but gone more space heavy with like the blue leaders and things like that, which is probably a good call right now.
Yeah, that could definitely be interesting for sure. Okay, so I feel like I think we covered everything. Is there anything else anyone wanted to add before we move on to the next topic? Good. Okay.
Yeah, no,
S-
I'm good.
So I think something that's been like super, you know, talked about and people are very excited about is limited, right? So FFG announced that limited will be some component of the Galactic next year. We don't know exactly what. We do know that there will be limited only PQs starting this set. I think we've got 2 announced. I'm not sure exactly how many.
No, it's a little more than that.
Is
One
it more
actually
than that? Okay.
happened already.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there's 6, I think,
Okay.
6 total.
Awesome. So we've
Yeah.
got half a dozen so far, and I know a lot of people in our area are very excited for the one near us. It's a really good store. It's gotten good turnout at all their PQs. Something that people are like, very interested in. And I know a lot of people kind of, I think most people I talk to have played like a ton of sealed, right? And they played some draft, but like, depending on how much they play, probably more sealed in general, just from like pre-releases and stuff like that. And so I guess, the first thing I wanted to ask you guys is, assuming like most people play constructed, right, or premiere, and that's kind of they spend most of their time with that in SWU and maybe other games as well. you know, from a TCG point of view, what should someone, that again focuses mostly on Premiere and now wants to get in a draft, what should they kind of expect going, from constructed to limited? And kind of what's your elevator pitch about like why they should be excited maybe to play more limited that's going to tie into some of these competitive events? So, John, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can try to go first here. I mean, it's definitely a bit of a like a shell shock if you've never played sealed before and enter into some tournament where it's like 500 people all playing sealed when you're used to playing constructed. It's like your deck is far less consistent. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't have like build around cards per se in sealed. It's a lot of times you're making something out of nothing. You're just trying to find value, in your pool. Um, for me, it's a lot of fun to start from scratch and just like build a deck basically out of what 90 cards or however many cards you have. Um, but I mean, it's just a big change. Like it's gonna be tough. I would recommend, every time you're at locals, if you win 1 or 2 packs from your locals every week or whatever, maybe keep them until you have 6, and then just crack them and build like practice sealed pools. Just kind of get used to, playing some commons that maybe you haven't seen before, because things like that could be all stars and sealed and draft. Um, yeah, I mean that's really probably the best advice that I could give. Just try to get used to it because it's very very different, and we're gonna have, like Andrew mentioned, we're gonna have limited sectors. I think they said that regionals was going to be split format, same for worlds, which is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Um, the way they're doing the limited sectors is interesting as well, where it's like this like when you go to a sector. It's like 2 concurrent sectors running at the same time. So like on Friday is
Interesting.
when the limited portion starts. So you can play Friday sealed, and if you don't do well, you can just drop from the event basically and play constructed on Saturday,
Hmm,
which is cool.
that is
So
cool.
yeah, yeah, we'll see how it works out.
Yeah. Michael, how about you?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a little harder for me to elevator pitch for sealed because I don't think even the people that love limited, I think most people prefer draft to sealed. Like sealed is still going to have a higher variance rate, but I think my elevator pitch would be when you're in a format like this that you don't necessarily love the gameplay of, like limited goes away from that and hopefully is a better format and it kind of puts everyone on a more even foot, I guess. I mean, sealed, it depends a little bit what you open. Maybe you're not on an even foot. Um, but I mean, to get prepped, like, especially if you're brand new to limited, I don't think anything replaces reps, right? It's hard to go into something you haven't done and do very well. But if you are looking for something else, I think Blue has a bunch of limited content. I assume that's the limited content you should watch. But yeah, I mean, go if you've played pre-releases, it's functionally the same thing, right? You're just in a much bigger environment at this point. I think all the same fundamentals of why you're building your decks there, like looking for good leaders, looking for removal, looking for bombs, like that's going to carry over. So I don't know. And the draft is going to be really good. I think draft is, at least from what I've heard, good in this set. It sounds like John said there was no Anakin to be afraid of, like set 3, so it's probably okay.
Yeah, I mean that's what I meant to add and just kind of forgot. Was that like this set 5 format for limited really to me feels like the first set that is like built for limited, if that makes sense. Like there's 5 or 6 leaders that are all like tier 1. Like, there's, almost every color is relatively equal. I think red's probably still the best color, but like I mean everything's close. Um, it, it just feels really well done in that regard. I've done 5 or 6 drafts now, and I've played a few sealeds, and like I think every time it's been a different leader. But
Nice.
it just feels balanced. Like there's no Anakin like there was in set 3. I mean, set 2 had Cad Bane and Ray, which were both like broken. Set 1 was not even balanced at all. So it's just nice to see that we have something like that now.
Yeah, definitely. Ophir, how about you?
So my pitch is that, I mean, limited is awesome. I think the format's great. I'm very excited that we can play it now competitively. It's more things to do, right? So you have more options, more ways to play the game, and that's a positive. Like Michael said, if you're bored of the constructed format, you can play some limited. You go to a limited PQ instead of the constructed one. Um, Draft specifically is just like the greatest thing. Like drafting is awesome. Like the draft portion is so much fun. Um, it like tests you not just in gameplay, but in like weird things that aren't even like card game related, like reading signals, understanding like how to math out a deck while you're like building it in real time. It's just so much fun. Sealed is fun too. I do have a little concern with Sealed in general being like the highlight of most of these events because it is much more random.
Mhm.
I don't want to say it's completely random. It takes a lot of skill to win a sealed event too, but there are some pods that you simply will not be able to win with. That is a fact. This format, I think the draft is much more balanced than the sealed. I think this format suffers a little bit from like the 2-drop problem, where if you open a sealed pool and you don't have the right colored 2-drops for a deck, you just can't make a deck. And
Mm.
there aren't very many good 2-drops in the set, so like you open the blue-red pool, but your 2-drops are in green and yellow, and like now you don't have a curve. It's something you can fix a lot more in draft, but not so much in
Yeah,
sealed.
that's a really good point. Like
That's
what he just said with the 2 drops is a really really good point.
Yeah, something you
uh,
can't really fix in sealed. Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's so much fun. And like besides like practicing and like yeah, you can watch my videos. I like the one thing I would like tell people who are picking up sealed and draft and what's different. Every deck in sealed and draft and limited in general is basically a mid-range deck. There is no archetypes. You are just all playing like a value mid-range deck. So like frame it that way. You are trying to find ways to make value trades all game. However, you can create that with your leader or with the units. It's why like the one of like the best common in set 1 was Syndicate Lackeys. It's like it's just a 5/4 ambush, right? That card was absolutely broken. And when I started drafting early, every deck I had like 3 of them because no one was taking them, and I never lost a draft ever. Like just take ambush units, take any ways that you can create value out of your cardboard, right? For if your cardboard kills 2 of their cardboard, it did its job, and that's like you're not gonna aggro anyone out unless maybe Cal Kestis you could try if you open a bunch of upgrades and like do that, but it's still kind of just a mid-range deck that just like wins a little faster. So mid-range. Draft is mid-range. It's a mid-range fest.
Yeah, 3, 4, 5 drops. I mean, just find the ones that give you the most value and go from there. Like I think Snoke's one of the best leaders, you know, for sealed and draft, just because there's like a lot of times where you can turn these 1 and 2 drops that would otherwise be kind of lackluster into like actual threats when they're 3, 4s, or like the 1 cost 1/1 spaceship that's, you know, that's
It's a good
hidden.
card, yeah, with
Like
Snoke.
that card is insane with Snoke, and it's just you know, you can just build some very silly decks like that.
Yeah, and like you can't always have a perfect curve in limited, but like leaders that have those 1 cost abilities, like Snoke, just fixes your curve. Kit Fisto, very hard to build him in sealed, but if you can build him in draft, he's also very good because like you have this curve filler ability built in.
Yeah, and like if someone wanted like tips on like best leaders for this set for sealed and draft, it would be like, you know, Mother Talzin, Obi-Wan, Snoke. I mean, those are probably 3 of the better ones.
That's
You have
top 3 for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
Cal Kestis is up there. You know, Wu mentioned Kit Fisto, which I would probably only recommend in draft, you know,
In
for the
draft, yeah.
reasons that he said. Um, you know, those are for sure the best ones.
Yeah, and there's like GI. Like you would never like that leader. No one even remembers he exists, but like decent draft leader. Honestly, like
Mhm.
Yeah,
he can create value trades.
value.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I know there will be some local players in our area that only play aggro. It's a little disappointing probably for them to hear that limited is all mid-range. But yeah, no, I think there's a lot of hype for the limited PQ near us that John mentioned. That's in September, I want to say. So that'll be pretty exciting. And
September 27th is the games and stuff one.
that sounds right, yeah. So yeah, I think that that'll be really interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they work them into the larger events as well. But you know, I'm sure they've got some PQs this set. I'm sure they'll add even more next set and kind of like work their way up. But yeah, so a little bit of a different question I have for you all was I wanted to ask, since you all have a lot of experience with other TCGs, how does SWU Limited compare to other TCGs you've played? And do you have any like memorable limited experiences in other games? Michael, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. So I think it compares. So I've played really only Magic and Flesh and Blood, like limited on a competitive level. Flesh and Blood was the worst limited game I've ever played. Like
Oh no.
it's truly terrible in almost every format that they made us draft at the Pro Tour. Um, but Magic kind of varied by sets. Like you had some sets like your Innistrad that everyone loved and people want to draft, 15 years later, and you had your Gate Crash draft that no one wanted to draft even at the time. So I think honestly, SWU is pretty comparable to Magic for me. Like, if someone came over to my house and it's like, yo, I want to fire up a Twilight of the Republic draft, I'm probably gonna ask them to leave. But maybe if it's a set one draft, then we'll do it. I don't think honestly, I don't think I have any super memorable stuff in other games. I do want to say, because if we were talking about syndicate lackeys, I want it to be known that Decreasy passed my brother 3 syndicate lackeys for his Boba Fett deck in a set 1 showdown,
Oh man.
and that's why I didn't win that showdown. So if this video came out like 16 months earlier, maybe I had a chance.
Uh,
You know, well, you had your chance, right? No, it's just Star Wars draft is kind of interesting. Like it's the worst and also one of the best at the same time. Like for me, like I feel like the leader draft, a lot of people kind of hate on it because it really dictates like how the whole drafting experience is.
and just
Um,
to pause, John, for everyone. So, what's the actual rule from FFG with the leader draft? Do you need to keep the leaders like face up? Like that's public information. That I
Yeah.
believe.
Yes.
Okay.
It
yes,
is,
and
yeah.
then like a timer, and then like the
Mhm.
judge counts down or whatever, and then you all take your leader at the same time.
Right.
I'm pretty
So
sure they'll make us write it down at an actual
yeah,
competitive
probably. I don't know
REL
how they'll do
because
it,
that's
but
the only way
there,
you can do
yeah,
it.
there is a process in place somewhere where you can't like wait to see what you're getting past and then
Right.
slide your leader. Like, you
Mm.
know, you have to do it at the same time. So there are like kind of weird situations where, say you open like Avar and Morgan and some other garbage one, and like you're stuck taking one, and then you get past like this crap pack that only has two like villain leaders when you've already taken a villain leader, and then your last pick is a villain leader, and suddenly you're locked into villain. Like that can be a poor experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've drafted on the Pro Tour for Magic and Versus System and like split format events, and like it they've always been really memorable because they've been like tons of fun. So like I hope that Star Wars in practice, you know, once we get to that point, uh, can be on that same level where players are hyped for it. Like, you know, it'll be something that's kind of a mainstay because I think it's a really good idea to have split format events. Like, it's really the best test of skill
Mm-hmm.
that you can possibly get. But I mean, Star Wars Draft does have that random, like, extra layer of variance that can be a turnoff to, you know, to a lot of players.
You can win plenty of drafts being villain locked from the start.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
like you also have a lot of agency. Like you look to your left and you're like, okay, they've got Obi and then two bad villain leaders. They're probably taking a villain leader, maybe Obi. So like maybe I should take this Avar instead of this Morgan and like keep myself open here
Right.
in the like
Yeah.
you there are yes, you can't it's not foolproof. Like you'll sometimes get stuck, but I think not that is not going to be too common.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting component with Star Wars. Like my only real experience drafting was also Magic. So like the leader component for Star Wars does make it like quite a bit different. Like in Magic, it's like you kind of had to, infer like what your table partners were like signaling you based on what they were passing you. But with, the leaders being public, it's, a bit more explicit and kind of, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right? They're sort of signaling what they're doing, but it just changes like the dynamic a little bit. So I think that will be really interesting to see kind of at the competitive level events, like how the tables play out and how people construct their decks. Let's see, what else do we have here? We talked about draft and sealed. Uh, is there anything that you all would like to see FFG do as they integrate limited into the competitive scene? And this is kind of more of a broad-based question, but like maybe something you liked in other TCGs you played, or how they implement it, or like how they structure, like, would you like to see, all of the big events, have some limited component or some, constructed, some limited, or some kind of split or anything, any details like that that you maybe liked in other games or that you just think would work really well with Star Wars? John?
Yeah. Like, I don't know if there's anything specific that I'd like to see from them. I mean, you have like 30 years of TCG history to, you know,
To
pick
draw
from. Like,
from, yeah.
don't try to reinvent the wheel by doing something crazy. Like, just be like, hey, here's so games that I've played that have like the split format Pro Tours and Worlds. You know, you have let's see, World of Warcraft card game did it, Versus System, Magic. Like, just look at what they did and do that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that difficult. Um, like they have to do it to where you don't play outside of your pod. Like, you don't want to have weird things like that. Um, you know, there's just very small things that you might overlook at first, but then when you're there, you're like, oh wait, they shouldn't do this.
Mm.
Um, like playing outside your pod. Um, which I understand that like it does create weird situations to where you can play the same person multiple times in the same event. Like there was a versus pro tour where I played Michael Dalton, who was like, you know, one of the best players at the time. He was a very good flesh and blood player. I played him three times in the Swiss
Oh,
and
wow.
in the same tournament because I played him day one and then I played him in like the first two draft pods as well.
Mm.
And like like you will have things like that happen. Like someone might play Ophir 3 times or 2 times or whatever. Like that's fine. That's going to happen. Like you just can't play outside of your pod.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
absolutely not.
Ophir, do you want
uh,
to go?
yeah, like that I thought was so much of a given that I didn't even think about it. But yeah, like you
You
absolutely
would
should
think.
not be playing a draft pod as like an open. That would just be an absolute disaster. You're gonna like the whole point of a draft pod is that it's like you are drafting against the people
At the table.
that you
Yeah.
are at the table, and yeah, that's very important. I think now one thing I think they're gonna have to be open to doing very very early, like I mean before events actually happen, is I do not like the idea of suspensions for limited, but specifically because the leader balance is like it completely blows up the format. Twilight's Anakin, it was just not a real experience. It
Right.
was like if something like that exists, you cannot have an event.
Mm-hmm.
Ray and Cad were leaps and bounds better than every other leader in Shadows. I actually thought set one leaders were pretty balanced.
Mm.
Overall, I know that's like crazy with like Boba being there, but like he wasn't even the best leader in set one draft. But like Shadows and Twilight would not be acceptable competitive formats because of the
No.
leader balance. And like, I guess the set one issue would have been like you printed Overwhelm and Barrage at uncommon. You probably should never do something like that
Yeah.
for if you're trying to push limited competitively. Like Overwhelm Barrage would still right now probably be the best limited card they have printed to date,
Mm-hmm.
even when it costs 7 and like splashed. It just like when I said everything is a mid range slog, that's what it is. And when you have a card in your deck that like, kills 3 of your opponent's units, and that has like basically no counterplay, right? Because you can't remove every unit in limited. There's always things in play. Um, that's a problem. But that I think hopefully if they're launching competitive limited, there is more testing being done to balance these formats. And the leader balance. If they need leaders to be good and competitive for certain in constructed for a certain reason, they can say ahead of time that okay, that these leaders are not going to be legal and constructed. If you open one of them, you call a judge and they like replace it with a random lead, like you draw a random leader or something from another pile. But
Yeah.
that's something I hope is being considered very heavily, because like I won't go to an event if like there's an Anakin leader. Like it's just not like I'm not interested in like opening 6 packs, not opening a leader, an Anakin, and going home. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
not on my agenda.
Yeah, and like I do want to make the point that set 5 is very balanced, I think, for sealed. So like having a sector be limited for set 5 is fine. Like it's a
Mhm.
balanced format, it's fine, it makes sense. It should be fun. Yes, you can still get screwed, obviously, but it's still fun. Like it's still a good experience for sealed. Set 6 and beyond, we'll have to see. I don't know, but if they put this much care into their limited formats moving forward, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, they talk a lot too about like how they design sets for limited first, right? So, I mean, we haven't really seen how that plays out in the competitive scene yet, but we're about to. So, and hopefully, if this set is supposed to be more balanced, then that should be pretty good. Michael, how about you?
Yeah, I think some of the things I'd like to see is if we're doing combined format at Vegas next year, I'd like to see them do more rounds so we can have a draft on each day, I think. Whether that means playing like 14 rounds guaranteed or going up to 16 or 15, whatever their preference is.
Yeah, like
I think that would be cool.
5-3 or 6-3 day one, and then like
Yeah, and it has
maybe
to be
2 draft
draft at
pods.
Worlds.
Yeah, draft
Right.
for
Yeah,
Yeah.
no
sure.
no sealed.
Yeah.
Right.
And on that point, I what I appreciated about Flesh and Blood, at least at the PQ level, was the entire PQ would be draft when it's limited. Um,
Okay.
Logistically, you'd probably have to cap it at 64 people right now. So we're capping at 6 rounds of Swifts. We're gonna run 2 drafts and then a top 8 draft. I just think it's a better competitive format. I know that's not reasonable when we have a sealed regional or a limited regional. Like that has to be sealed, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
I hope
And
the
then
entire day 2 there will be draft though. Like day 1,
Yeah.
everyone's 6-2, and then I actually would like a record reset for day 2 after that. Wipe the slate clean and then go into the drafts. That's
That'd be
like
nice.
That's one way. I don't know if I like a record reset. Maybe it's just kind of I don't know, but like I would like to see just day 2 be 64 players, so like 8 pods of 8, and just
Yeah.
yeah,
and then the winner of
see
each
it.
pod is the top 8, right?
I don't know if I even
Like
like that, but like you don't necessarily even have to do that. You can just do 2 pods, like 2 3 round pods, and that's how like other games did their split
yeah,
format,
you could
and it was fine. Like I don't necessarily want like 8 pods of 8, and then the winner goes to the top 8. Like that's kind of weird, but there are many ways that you can do it that makes sense. But I think it all involves just cutting to a day 2 top 64.
And to
I just
clarify,
think
that's slightly different than like what we do now, where they do X2, right? Is that what the
Now it's just so it
well, it
was
kept changing.
Denver. Yeah,
yeah,
Denver was
right?
just top 64, I think,
No,
wasn't it?
Denver was X2s,
X2.
and then Richmond was top 64s.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
okay.
Vegas
Okay.
was also
And then
X2, right?
Minnesota's top 64, but then they felt bad and they let like 3 more people get in because they
Right.
were the last like remaining
Okay.
X2s. So
Yeah.
it was like
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. But like we've always had like I think around 64 players make day 2. Like they should just make it
Sure.
64 for the
Make
limited
it
ones.
clean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's having 8 pods of 8 is just the cleanest. Like
Right.
you can do so many different things with that.
That makes
So.
sense.
and just for stores this season, like I know our friend Ben played a weekend like 1:30 for limited PQs. Like, please God, start early. Like, there is the extra registration process, and like you have to draft before you play your top 8. None of us want
Yeah,
to
they
be here
should
until
start
like
at
2
9.
a.m.
Like
Yeah.
start
It's
at
2x
9,
it's
do the
2 extra hours
registration.
essentially
Right.
for the
Yeah,
event. The
Yeah, that's a good
sealed
point. I
build
didn't think about that.
and then the draft portion. That's the
Yeah.
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 I think I played in one PQ that started at like it wasn't even that late. It was maybe like 11:30 or something or noon, but like we finished so late it felt like. And that was just like premiere. So I can't even imagine what that would be like for limited.
Yeah, and for stores, for the love of God, I know that you want to take care of your players, but stop having hour-long lunch breaks. We don't need it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't necessarily need the lunch break, I don't think. I know that's kind of some people feel one way or the other, but
Like the West Virginia PQ, God bless them. I mean, they did a much better time this time. But like there were 38 players. We played 6 rounds barely, and they had an hour and 10-minute lunch break after round like 2.
nice.
And it's just like I didn't get home until midnight for a 6 round 38 player PQ. And it's
Yeah,
just like it's like don't do that.
that is pretty wild. We played Michael and I played in a PQ. The PQ itself was fun, but they did untimed top cut, was
Yeah,
it?
that's
Yeah.
another thing. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the New York PQ did untimed, and I think the semifinals, it was Pasquale and
it's a
someone
Yoda
else.
mirror that took like
Yeah, they played like
2
2
hours.
hours. Like it was longer than my top 4 match in Minnesota, and that was
Wow,
long. So
that's wild.
Yeah, I think that for like untimed actually makes sense to me at like our sector and regional, but like not for a
Sure.
PQ level. Like you,
well, and the rules doc at 75 minutes. They just
Yeah,
didn't do it, I
I think
guess.
75 minutes is fine. For
yeah, games have no business going longer than that. Be like just being honest.
yeah,
Like I've played plenty of control mirrors too. Like it's just shouldn't take that long. Like
yeah,
just if you're playing at a real pace.
agreed. So I had one question here. This has come up. A few people have mentioned this, and I've heard other people give their takes on how other TCGs have handled similar issues. And this is around the rare bases. So my question for you all is: do you feel like they impact sealed, or not really? And if so, like, should anything be done about it? Like, I know some people suggested, like, well, can they just add like a base slot or whatever? Michael?
They definitely do impact sealed, and that the sense like a lot of the rare bases you're not going to play over the common base in that format, I think, historically. But at the end of the day, I think it is a little bit of just a feelings thing. Because, like, if I told you were going to open a Doom and 2 Jedi trials, like, are you
Yeah,
more
exactly.
happy about that than 3 rare bases? Like, not really.
Yeah.
You just see the base and you're like, well, I couldn't even consider playing that, and it's like an emotional response. I think it's just you kind of have to accept that your rares suck, and I think that's okay in this format. Like, there's a lot of really powerful uncommons, and opening 3 rare braces doesn't mean you can't 5-1 your Swiss at this event. It's just, I don't know. You kind of have to accept that you open some duds and move on.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
like
I mean, I
half the rares in the sets are unplayable and limited. It's not just
right.
the bases. Like he mentioned some of them. What about Doom? What about Pre Visla? What about Ogdo Bogdo? Like there's infinite rare premonition. You said premonition of Doom, right?
Yeah.
Like honestly, the bases are better than some of these cards for sealed.
Yeah, it's like it's not the rares that really make a difference. I mean they can, but I would be more upset if my uncommons were unplayable than if I,
Sure.
open multiple rare bases. I think the uncommons are usually the best cards in every set anyway.
Mm.
But like I mean, like for this set, because every common base is 28 HP, uh, I think that you can actually make an argument to play maybe some of the rare bases. The red one and in particular,
Yeah, that's kind of interesting for limited.
might be better than like the red common one and some sealed pools. Like in draft, you might not see that as often, but in sealed, where it's like more the Wild West, something like that could come up. That's probably the only one.
The green one, like you
The green
open
one,
no force
maybe.
units, but you
Yeah.
have like 2 Mace Windows or something, and you're like,
Right.
okay, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna play this to turn them on.
Yeah.
Like, they're
Like the yellow one, you would never play in probably anything.
Right.
But yeah, but like the blue one's probably the same way. You wouldn't play that either. But the green one and the red one, but only because you're only, giving up 3 health. Like in the
Mm.
past, you were giving up at least 5, right? And it was like
Right.
no chance you were ever doing it. But now,
well, some of them were very good in set one,
well,
these.
set
Yeah,
set
yeah.
one is a whole
Okay,
different animal. Like
okay. I'm
like
just making sure we're.
yeah, Tarkin Town and ECL, you can make an
You
argument
didn't you
for
didn't
it. But
run
like,
a Shadow
I think
Collective or
Security
whatever?
Complex and Jeddah were both perfectly
yeah,
playable
yeah,
too.
sure.
Like they're
And then we didn't have any rare bases in set 2, and then set 3 they were terrible.
yeah.
Set, that's no argument. But now, it's like there's arguments for it. So like again, just to reinforce, what Michael and Ophir said is like you open multiple rare bases. Yeah, it kind of feels bad, but it's not the end of the world. Like they're still playable most of the time, and you always just go to your like uncommons anyway.
Right. That makes sense. Cool.
It would be nice if they didn't like for people opening packs to like open pack. That's where I feel like the complaint is more like
Oh, like
real, right?
just
Because like
opening
not for
product.
play,
I
yeah,
see.
just for like
Gotcha.
opening product, it's a little
Gotcha.
bit of a feel bad to have like
Yeah, that's
the
fair.
rare bases, but especially because you only ever need one of them, and it's not
Right.
like even like Magic where the lands are like the best cards, and
Yeah.
like everyone needs 4 of all of them. Like you need
I don't
one
know,
of these
man.
cards
I have like
ever.
8 Data Vault decks, so that's like 8 Data Vaults I need.
Or you could just take the one and
No,
move
no,
it.
no. He's got to be ready to go.
Gotta be ready. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, I think that was really great conversation. I mean, I definitely learned some stuff. Hopefully, this is helpful to everyone that tuned in. I think a lot of people are really excited about the limited making its way into the competitive scene, and people are really looking forward to it. So I think there's a lot of really good information you guys put out here. So I really appreciate that. That's really awesome. I just want to make a quick note that we are closing in on 900 subscribers on YouTube. We're going to do an Navarre Chris showcase giveaway, and then at 1,000 subscribers, Cluis from Boston has generously donated a Kit Fisto showcase. We're going to give that away as well. So really appreciate all the support on the channel. And yeah, I think that's probably it for today. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, guys, and appreciate everyone tuning in. Have a good night.
Yep. See you later.
Thanks.
Figure out how to stop this.
Now we're just gonna sit here like awkwardly while YouTube's like, are these guys leaving or are they gonna?
There we go. I